Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call to order the Public Service Committee meeting. It's Thursday, December 10th. It's about 6:35. Did anybody get a chance to take a look at the minutes?
We actually received an email from Ryan that they weren't going to be completely ready, so we should just table those.
Motion
Make
laid
a-
on the table?
Item 2? Yeah, second.
To accept the motion to take item 2 off the table.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Kelly, why don't you come on up? You can just sit at this desk, and there's a little button on that microphone you can hit. Item 2 is the appointment of Ms. Kelly Kern to the Library Board of Directors. Welcome, Kelly.
Hi.
We'll be brief. Why don't you, while we're looking at some things, why don't you just give us a little bit background about yourself?
Okay.
We'll go from there.
I'm obviously a Holyoke resident. I grew up here, went to school here. I work at the administrative offices for the school department. I have 2 children. I'm currently studying to get my master's in public administration at Westfield State.
So I'll start off. So, do you have any, are you familiar with the library? I know, I'm sure you are.
I
so-
am, yeah.
So, I mean,
I've
you
worked with them through the school department.
And that's where you work right now, right? Is that what you
Yes.
said? Are you familiar with the leaks up there at all? Can you?
Where, in the building?
the library?
The library? No, they didn't tell me about that.
Okay.
I only
You'll
heard
hear
about the
about
good
it, I'm
things
sure.
so far.
Does anybody have any thoughts? Councilor McGivern?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kelly has a very impressive resume, even more so because I know her mother and father for a long time. And she's a wonderful asset to the library board, and I think she'd be a great new board member. One thing I did learn from your resume, Kelly, is Donahue School is the Dolphins?
Yes.
Never knew that.
I didn't know that, yeah.
I guess we have to learn something every now and then. And as a graduate of Westfield State wasn't university when I graduated college, I certainly applaud you for continuing your education. The only thing I ask Kelly is on the library board, we have a unique setup going at the moment. When the Friends of the Library, the library was a quasi-city department, and we've always had a say over the people who work there and a say over a lot of what goes on in terms of the building itself. But when the Friends of the Library came forward and we did the capital drive to raise money, there's a separation of the city and the Friends. And what we want to do is, as the capital drive is coming to an end, as that money is collected, the bond is being paid off, is eventually merge, a group has already been merged, but merge completely the charters of the Friends and the responsibilities of the city. And mostly that's because of the employees that are there. The city ultimately has to have full responsibility. So we just ask that you keep that in mind as time goes on, that someday down the road, that vote will be coming.
Okay.
Councilor Valentine?
I don't have any questions, just wanted to thank you for your interest in being involved with the community at this level. Obviously, the library is something that we're very proud of. It's a great building that's been an enormous asset to the community, and obviously since the improvement, even more so. And so I think your experience with working with our, excuse me, Holyoke Public Schools department will be a great addition to the board. So thank you for volunteering your time.
Thank you.
Kelly, I know you have to make a presentation at Westfield State this evening. Would you like to practice it here?
I don't think you want to hear about the barriers of social media in the public
Oh, I think we do.
sector.
Great topic.
I think we'd love to hear that. Can you send us a copy?
Sure.
Make a motion to approve the appointment of Kelly Curran to the Library Board of Directors.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Great,
you.
Kelly, thank you. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Hey, Kelly, the meeting is on, can I do it?
Yeah, of course.
Is next Tuesday is a full city council meeting where the actual endorsement happens. a day or two later, you'll have to go into the city clerk and sign the book. Okay? No, you're fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to take item 3 off the table?
Thank you.
Say,
Item number 3 is the appointment of Paola Ferrario at the Historical Commission. I apologize if I got your name wrong. All right. Maybe you could say it for me. Great.
It's Paola, and the best way to remember is Pow Pow, so Paola.
Okay. Fair enough.
Hello.
Counselor McGivern has joined, Counselor Tomlin has joined us. Counselor McGivern has been here. Thanks, Peter. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so we can,
Sure. So I was originally born in Italy, came to the States when I was about 20 years old. I studied art, got a master in fine arts. I was a professor for most of my life. Throughout my living in the United States, I always bought and redid houses. And about 2012, I decided I didn't want to teach anymore. Bought 2 houses in Holyoke, redid them. So now I'm a landlady and artist full-time.
What's your address for the record so we could have it?
My address is 25 Morgan Street.
Morgan, thank you.
And
this is your first time going to the board, right?
that's correct.
Okay.
And please do ask questions. So
Where'd you teach?
I taught first in Texas at University of Denton. Then I taught at Rhode Island College for many years. And then I taught at Smith College.
Counselor Houghton?
Thank you. Paola and I have actually met through some community events, so I'm somewhat familiar with her interest in the city. But if you wanted to share with the group just a little bit about what your specific interest is in serving with the Historical Commission and what...
But I think, now I own 2 houses here. This morning I was kind of smiling and thinking, if I won the lottery, probably this is still where I would choose to live because it's such a good life. And I think our assets, like one of the big assets, of keeping the city as like a city that keeps getting better and better, is to strategically renovate some of the building, maintain some, and doing that. So, and I want an active part in that. In Italy, I studied architecture for a couple of years, but then I decided I really wanted to be an artist. But building and architecture has always been a big interest of mine. And I feel the Historical Commission is really crucial because I think it's, there are people on the commission that are incredible historians, but I think the role is also to consider this building as assets, telling people that they are, and really finding a way to reinterpret them so they can live more. And it's funny, there was somebody from the library here before, and I think to some extent, the library is one of my favorite renovations. And it's not, people are saying it cannot get historical status, but it doesn't matter. Because we kept the building, so we have the old and the new together. You walk into the new entrance and it's welcoming. And I think it's really important not to keep the past as it was, but reinterpreting things.
Counselor McGivern?
thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, welcome to City Hall, but welcome to the Historical Commission. As a young guy, I used to drive up to Morgan Street where you live with my bicycle and my friends, just to ride that hill.
The hill,
You know,
yes.
It's quite, the mailman gets what I'm talking about over there, One of the fun part about being a Hoyoker, and you just made yourself a Hoyoker by describing our great city and how much you love it, is we have nicknames for everybody. So you just nicknamed yourself as Pow Pow.
Oh, wow, okay, that sounds good. That's okay, very good.
Paul, I actually had 3 questions. You already answered them, 2 of them. You answered them with describing the library, the importance of saving the historical nature of that building, of what it meant to this city, what it meant to, I think, the people that not only belong to the library, but the people that live here and drive by it, and how we can do creative things to keep the historical part and at the same time advance, with the needs of the present and the future. And I think you did a wonderful job of describing that. Are you familiar with the demolition delay ordinance?
Yes, which one?
Well, we have.
Oh, with the delay ordinance, yes,
Yeah, delay
yes.
ordinance, yeah, we have one. And I was actually one of the co-authors, but one of the reasons that we have, and Kevin Jordan and I think have taken a lot of, we've been one more person besides Kevin and I, have taken a lot of interest in the demolition delay. It is, sometimes it's abused, okay? As much as we want to save the historical building that is worth saving, that needs to be saved, that should be saved, there are times when a building needs to come down. And sometimes there's an economic impact on the city if that building doesn't come down in a timely fashion. I would just ask that you keep that in mind in your deliberations with the commission.
Absolutely, and actually, one thing that I've been doing as an associate commissioner is I've been calling every contractor I know, asking them if they know a structural engineer that would volunteer on the commission, because I feel like sometimes some decisions are made on the heart, but I think, for a demolition delay, I really would love to have, every time we come across one, finding out how good or bad the structure of the building is, because that's definitely a concern.
One of our two new city councilors getting ready to take over in January is sitting in the background over there, Michael Sullivan. He might have a couple of people to refer to you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Counselor Tomlin?
Yes, thank you for coming down and for volunteering your time, your service with the city here. And from what I heard, I apologize for being a little bit late. From what I heard, you got a good feel of what you want to do in the city and on this commission. And it's important, what I've heard about saving buildings, and if it's good to save, the part about being a structural engineer is, I think, is very important to, because sometimes your heart is saying, let's save this building, but it's not really worth saving.
Exactly.
And what you said about the city, as Councilor McGivern and myself, grew up in this area, Councilor Bresnahan and this town, and most of us on the city council, that we have a deep commitment to this community and a love for the city that you've shown just by, moving here from Northampton, and sometimes somebody from another area sees a perspective of this community that we don't see because we've been here. But, the beauty and the word magnificent, some of the structures here in this community are something that, we're willing to save and to fight for. And with you on this commission, I really feel confident that, we're adding a really excellent person that cares about this community, and somebody that understands structures and art and architecture in this community. So I appreciate you coming down and discussing this with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Motion?
Motion to approve and adopt the appointment of Paola Ferrario to the Historical Commission?
Second.
Or to recommend, sorry.
All in
No,
favor?
that's- Aye.
Hi.
What is it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
It's gonna go to the full council on a Tuesday night. You don't need to attend. The city clerk's office will contact you, and you have to go sign some paperwork.
Terrific. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Josie.
Wondering if we should take 4 and 5 as a packet, because Terry Shepherd is here.
Sure.
Motion to take items 4 and 5 as a package? I don't know about,
How about 6, no?
yeah, it's DPW and Parks and Rec, and there's no one here from DPW, so.
I'll second that.
So motion to take items 4 and 5 as a package.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm just gonna read item 4, just for the public record. This is an order introduced by David Bartley and Peter Tallman. Order that the Parks and Rec Commission develop a plan for playground improvements at Mayor Field and report to the Public Service Committee with the ideas along with a budget. I do believe you emailed us, right, about this afternoon on Mayor Field?
I made email to you,
Okay,
only you and
David, okay.
I have handouts if
So even though DPW is not here, you're ready to,
Yep, I can explain why there's no PPW.
So is this, right, so this is is there two separate ones? Yeah. Okay. So Joe, and, do you have two of these? No, they might all be just stapled together.
if not, I can share with.
Right, yeah, I can,
Okay.
yeah.
I can share with.
No, Mayor came from left to right, and Roland came from right to left. We can share. You need
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
Jeff?
yeah. It's family, it's all family, Terry, it's all family.
Is this yours?
Well, ours.
Terry just said she can actually Rowan, which is 6, which we didn't put it
Okay.
into the packet because I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Just address however you want.
Well, let's just, why don't we
I
just
can.
start out, I read number 4, item 4, why don't you just tell us about item 4, which
Okay.
is the
Is that
Mayor
Mayor
Field?
Track?
Right.
Yep. Both, I'm here tonight because 2 city council orders came my way. One was from Counselor Bartley, and I know Counselor Tallman, I think, might have been on him.
He was, yep.
One, Mayor Field was to develop a plan for new playground equipment at Mayor. Josie, the reason DPW isn't here, we work hand in hand with the DPW. They maintain all the parks. But when it comes to design or new playground equipment, I usually take that part and then turn it over to them as they do. If anything ever came to fruition, it would go out to bid through the DPW, and Bill or the city engineer actually becomes a project manager. So that's why there was no need. So Mayor Track, I work really closely with one particular playground specialist because he's, I think, the best, and he responds quickly. It's Doug Knotts from Premier Park and Play. He's done quite a few renovations in the city. His company did Community Field and Avery Field recently. So we met one day quite a few weeks ago at the park just to get some ideas of what would fit there and what would be age appropriate. And what you have is a design that was submitted by Doug. I approve of most of it. I think I'd make a few minor changes. Counselor Bartley's seen it. He's fine with the layout. One of the cool things there that there's nowhere in the city, they're called, I forgot what they're called, you have all the paperwork, in-ground slides, up at the top of the hill at Mayor, next to the ball field. Well, actually, there's one pitiful piece of playground equipment there. If you go straight up, there's a little bit of a hillside. So these slides are actually built right into the landscape. They're just kind of seats, and then you just slide on the natural terrain. They're a new playground addition. So in the package is a playscape for, it says kids ages 2 to 12, but I definitely would change that and have it be met for kids 2 to 8. That's actually what we did at Avery, just to kind of eliminate older kids loitering and playing on equipment that wasn't meant for them. David Bartley also asked to have a cost for a potential water spray at the park, and it's a little mixed up, but it would be the same layout as another city council order that was filed by Kevin Jordan for a possible water spray at Rowan Park. So it would be about the same price.
Which is $70,000.
For complete, that's buying the equipment,
Installing.
having it delivered, and the installation would go out to bid. So it's an approximation, but you have an exact price on the actual equipment. And that too could be tweaked a little. The size of it would be about the size of the water spray at Community Field. I would recommend all water sprays instead of apparatus. Apparatus costs more money,
and there's more chance of it getting vandalized or malfunctioning.
Go ahead, Councilor McGivern.
First, and I think, Mr. Chairman, he may have contacted you, but last night we had a meeting, and Councilor Bartley said he's met thoroughly with, and he's very happy with the proposal. He wants to, I believe our next step is to look for the funding. Is that going to be looking for an appropriation through the mayor's office, or is there any grant money that might be available?
There's no grant money at this moment, especially for Mayor Field. Mayor Field wouldn't qualify for community development money. That's meant for low-income neighborhoods, and that wouldn't qualify. It would be harder. I don't really know of any grants off the top of my head that would even be applicable there. Most of the grants I know of are for playgrounds and parks that are attached to school property. It would be harder, and I don't know of any that it would qualify.
Jerry, the layout, which looks excellent, but does it in any way interfere with the ball field and?
No, that's actually why I had Mr. Knotts come to the site, just to make sure the footage was okay and there was no violation. It is far enough away.
I could hit the ball out there.
Yeah, but it's a 60-foot diamond.
Yeah, now you could,
I've hit the ball out that far. We kidding?
Yeah, probably could, but very few of the little kids who play there do.
Is the Hoyoke Youth Baseball commissioners in agreement?
No, I haven't had any public meetings. There's no funding or
Okay.
yeah,
Before, I mean, I think,
that would come after, if the project
okay,
was a
but you
go.
would contact them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and neighbors, there would be public meetings.
Okay.
This is just all from the city council order.
Thank you.
Councilor Jordan.
On these, since funds are tight, we're going to have some bonding coming down the road. And I would like to see if we could add these type of things as a piggyback into that. What I'm going to recommend is, barring us going another direction, we have what your counselors, you're going to be seeing at some point soon, a proposal coming to you for about $3.6 million for energy audit improvements to the school department, some bonding for that purpose. Now, that's going to be revenue neutral because supposedly the dollars that are going to be saved on making those improvements to the schools are going to pay for themselves by utility reductions. And the school department has agreed to pay the bond payment to shift it into that. In that, because we have to do some capital stuff, Councilor Bresnahan spoke very articulately the other day regarding the 10 intersections that we have that we need to replace for about $1 million. The schools also need about $500,000 in different fresh ups to a number of the different buildings. Things that include stuff like carpets, some of this other stuff that SBA dollars are simply not eligible for. I'm going to request that the mayor put a capital improvement package together on capital things that we really need over the next 2 years so that we don't have to expense these items just from a cash flow perspective. For example, I would recommend that if we can settle on a number of police cars, that we include that into the bond as well, so that we don't have to expense those out of the budget. For example, say we need, 4 new cars or 5 new cars over the next 2 years, we could add that in there. These type of things, and what I'd like to do is see some of these targeted playgrounds that we really do need, these improvements that are not eligible for CDBG. It's a well-known fact that I'm gunning for a new playground at Bowdoin Village. And the good news is CDBG money has been identified for there, and it's in a census tract that can happen. These, unfortunately, are not going to qualify for that. So, for 70,000 and 70,000, is that what we're looking at about, Terry, around 140 cumulative for the two, Mayor and
Yeah,
Rowan?
actually, for the plans that are in front of you, it's about 121,000.
121. So I think that would make the most sense to identify that as a resource to do that. And so anyways, I just wanted to put that out there that that's certainly my proposal. I think it makes sense, and I think it'll be received warmly, hopefully, by the mayor. and we can move forward. But this is what I'm thinking about, and I would encourage counselors, if there are some really critically needed capital improvements that you have in your wards, or, you know, city at large, that we make mention of these at this time, and we do this capital improvement bond. And, you know, but that's basically going to be it for the next few years, you know, for capital improvement. But we do need a funding stream, and we can't expense these items. Typically, you know, we would just say, okay, here's, write a check for the 120, or police cars, or these different things. We since we have to do, we don't have $1 million for the intersections anyways, and we're gonna have to bond for these things. It seems to make the most sense to put a few of these smaller projects in there with it. So on the funding, I just wanted to address the funding source issue.
Terry, just a quick question. In this email that you sent us, there is a paragraph that you're going to talk to Alicia, or you may, because Rowan Park may be on the cusp of,
Right, I'm not sure if it qualifies this year for community development block funds, you might know if Rowan does. They said it was on the border, so I don't really know.
Some years yes, some years no.
Yeah,
I think it's in the know at the moment.
I know it's been in the know, but yeah, it's on the border. Dana, I also, in your email, I'm sorry I didn't send it to everybody, our Pouliot Pool, the last remaining pool in the city, was closed this summer. Yeah, there's an architectural company right now who's looking at it, and hopefully they're gonna tell us if it's salvageable or repairable, so hopefully you'll all have that news soon, too. I hope it's salvageable and can be repaired and we can open up again, but I know you'll all be hearing about that, too. I don't have a dollar amount yet.
thank you. Anyone else? As Councilor McGivern pointed out, David Barley reached out to me as well and said he would be happy if we made a motion to have this order has been complied with. Councilor Tallman?
One quick question. I know on the mayor, and I added on to that because there was some problems, you know, a few months back with the bleachers and stuff, and I think they just taped them up or they took them out. Has there been anything done with, I mean, it's not the season, but did they do anything with that up there at Mayor Field?
They were taped for a very long time. I don't know why it was so long, but yeah, the boards were replaced.
They were, okay.
Yeah, they've been totally replaced. They're
Yeah.
in good shape now.
Okay, because I don't know if that's the only field that there was problems with, but there might be,
Oh, no.
No,
That was the worst.
that was the worst, okay.
Yeah.
So is there something in place to keep an eye on these fields where they could, like, yearly updates or maintenance, or does it just happen? I mean, they must deteriorate over a period of time with the weather and the rain and all that.
Of course they do. It's all money and personnel, and it's all tight.
So it doesn't really get the chance to update it or look at it every
Yep, they
couple
do.
months?
Oh, they do get inspected once a year,
Okay.
and the most immediate things do get addressed. Apparently, one was missed, but
Oh,
for
okay.
the most part, yes.
They do, okay. And the money thing that you said Mayor Field, that's, because it's not connected to a school and it's not an area where it's low
Yeah,
income.
I think I'm sure there are grants out there. I just don't know of any right now. All the grants I've ever been involved with are either low income or different purposes, not connected to a school.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion that the order's been complied with?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Is that both orders?
That was 4.
That was 4. We're gonna go to 5, which was already been taken off the table, so I'll read item number 5. This is an order introduced by Councilor Leahy and Anthony Soto that the Parks and Rec Department assess the needs at every park and come into a meeting with the Public Service Committee to discuss each park's conditions and offer solutions.
I thought that was just going to be tabled.
That's what I wasn't clear about, because I think in the email correspondence that we had between me and Jim, we were gonna table that order.
Yes.
Okay, so my apologies. If I could get a motion to table that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Terry.
Motion to take item 6 off the table?
Second.
Item 6 is an order filed by Councilor Jordan that reads, "The DPW and Park and Rec, please consider the possibility of installing a water park at Rowan Park. Please, sprinkler? a water sprinkler play area.
A water park, we're really going.
I know, it scared me a little.
The good old days, huh?
Hurricane Harbor, Holyoke.
So. Yeah. All right, from the top, that the DPW and Parks and Rec, please consider the possibility of installing a water sprinkler play area for the kids at Rowan Park. Please consider a layout and provide potential cost estimate, which is. item
Hopefully
two.
that's in your packet too.
Okay, yep, I believe we all have that.
Yep.
Okay, so,
Just to tee it up, first off,
Counselor
Terry, thank you for beginning this process. Two is just a number of constituents there throughout West Franklin Street, Sargent Street, all those side streets in there, said, gee, it would really be nice if we could complement Rowan Park with some sort of spray-type water park area. I also remarked at how many daycares are right in that area, too. There's about 8.
How many
Within
what?
8 daycares.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Within immediate proximity of the park. It's pretty remarkable. So a lot of these folks did say that, gee, we bring the kids up now already to play. But boy, in the summer months, it sure would be nice if we could bring them over there to cool off. And, besides obviously all the rest of the neighborhood kids. So it would be a real home run. It'd be a nice compliment to this what's really a great park. And we have
I'd
beautiful.
love to see one in every park. They're great.
I agree. I agree. And so the playgrounds are great shape, maintained. We really don't have any problems in the park itself, and that's holding up nicely. But if we could get this put together, that'd be really, really nice.
You fund it and we'll put it there.
I know you will.
Yeah.
I know you will. So
And
you
again-
already heard my suggestion on the money piece. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's- The fellow who went and looked at Rowan, who gave the rendering, he's from Premier Park and Play.
Oh, okay.
He suggested in the middle where the circle already is, he said it's kind of a natural spot for
Yeah.
one. A few benches, parents could watch their kids, and so.
And it doesn't interfere with the field portion of it, which I did get folks commenting that they did want to maintain the integrity of the field part, because I think there is a really like little tyke
Yeah, they
league
started
that's-
last year, a little
that's used in that
baseball.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this won't interfere with that.
No.
We just don't want the bigger kids, because I see some of them whacking the ball over the fence into the
yeah.
Sargent Street. Some of
Well,
them
you
can-
know what? They
Some of them
started-
can really hit over there.
Is that like Kevin Jr.?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's for little kids, and you know what we found out? Nobody really paid attention. The fencing all around the park, especially in the fields where they are, for some reason it's raised about this much. So they've lost dozens of baseball right down the street, right under the fence.
Ah, interesting.
I know, we never noticed, so we'll correct that too. But the water sprays really are wonderful. They're set on timers. There's no danger of anybody drowning, maybe slipping, but.
No
they're-
standing water, yeah.
Correct, so.
so Terry, the cost here of the 26,655, that's just for the materials, that's not the
That's
installation,
just for the
correct?
equipment, everything that you need to build a water
Right,
spray.
but
And
we-
that could vary, like I said
Sure.
before, there's all kinds of apparatus that you could attach to it, but for such a small park. And this would actually
it
be a
basic.
neighborhood discussion. Some people like them, I don't, I prefer more water sprays, I think you get more for your money, but that's,
How about the,
that, in that quote is also all the materials. There's a vault or a control center that you need where all the electricity and the controls are. That's in the quote too.
is this water in the plans, because I didn't look through them entirely, is that water recirculated, or is it?
No, we use
Okay.
fresh water.
Right, now, so I'm assuming if they were gonna recirculate the water and put it through the filter, there would be another
It is.
thousands of dollars. And the 26.5 does not include the installation, I mean, it's for the
No.
materials in the same
Just the
company.
materials and freight.
Yeah, so Don Knotts, or what, John Knotts, whatever his name is.
Doug.
Doug Knotts, thank you.
Yep.
He,
Nice.
Yeah,
it's close, his
his
name's
life.
Doug.
It
The
is.
right out letter.
Is he still alive? I don't know.
So they'll sell it to us and they also install it.
No, it would probably go out to bid at that point.
Okay, so-
And actually, especially if there's two projects, if there is an installation at two parks, you'd probably get a better deal. And that end of it is DPW, that's Mr. Fuqua's foray. He takes care of all the bids and the construction.
Okay. Counselor McGivern?
Terry, the late and great and legendary Bob Rowan would not be very happy, the city named a park after him.
I know.
But I think he'd be very proud to see what you've done with this park and what the youth have to look forward to, you know, and I think that's remarkable. And this design is just another compliment to a park that not only is in his memory, but I think in the memory of what he stood for, and that's the family life that the city has always known. And this is just a great order by the president and a great idea to put spray parks everywhere.
Yeah, it is.
To also compliment Joe on his point too, the family did contact me and say they would love for something like this to go in, so.
You know, I hear,
Joe's right on the money.
I hear from the family occasionally, and I know that they have hopes of getting together and maybe having a memorial tree or bench, so,
Oh,
yeah.
that'd be nice.
Yeah, we could do
We do
something
have
with
a
the
plaque
family
there.
too.
There's a very nice plaque for him there at
Yeah.
the beginning, but.
So the maker of the order, any direction you want on this?
What would you suggest at this point, that it would just be, you've kind of got it in motion to do it?
Yep.
Should we send it to you? Should we call it complied with? What do you think at this
Well,
point?
I think my part is complied with. You know, there's a design, there's at least a preliminary proposal. It's funding. Once
Okay.
funding is in place, yes, I would definitely have a public meeting, probably at both parks,
Okay.
or here, depending on the weather.
So the next steps for, in terms of, say, in my case here, and Dave's case, the other one,
Mm-hmm.
to quarterback these through, you recommend that I identify a funding stream, and then what, the mayor's
Honestly-
office or somebody reaches out to you to begin the process, or?
Oh, we'll start right there, funding. It's funding.
Okay.
Because I don't think we couldn't go any further. We couldn't go out to bid or couldn't purchase anything
Till
until
the money's identified?
funding's in place.
Okay, all right. I'll be in touch then.
Make a motion that the order's been complied with.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank
Terry,
you very much.
thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Night, everyone.
See ya.
Good night, Terry. Okay. Accept the motion to take the next item off the table. It is an order filed by Councilor Leahy that the mayor, Morse, and the tax collector, David Guzman, come into city council chambers to discuss the head clerk position that is vacant in the tax collector's office. Dave, why don't you come on up and sit in the seat? How many do we have? 4, 5, 6.
Do we want to suspend the rules to maybe just take all those orders, just take anything related to, because isn't that the same as the other one, kind of?
Well, I'm just, as the emails that we got back and forth, do we just, you know, we gotta go into executive sessions and it happens like that, or? I mean, I know that might be his decision, but I
I
mean,
just think that some of this conversation is going to go right into that other topic.
I guess we're waiting for the mayor to show up.
He ain't coming. He already said he's not coming. So if the phone don't
did you
ring,
see,
you'll know
did you
it's
guys
him.
get, did you guys get this? Okay.
I got the
So-
email.
Make a motion to take up both items, 7 and 8, as a package.
All in favor?
Chairman, I will make a motion to go into executive session. The protocol would be, if that motion is seconded, before we take a vote, to ask Mr. Guzman which his preference is. He can tell us we have to stay in open session. If he does not tell us, then it's up to us as a majority to decide if we wish to go into executive session.
I would prefer we talk about this in executive session.
My motion is to go into executive session for the purpose of taking up disciplinary action taken by the mayor against one of our appointees.
Just to the chairman on that, just before we take that vote, Counselor-elect Sullivan would just wanted to make a couple brief comments, but as he knows, he has to leave if we do go into executive session. So I think he wanted to just make a couple comments on lockbox before, and he'll leave if the committee votes to go into executive session. Is that possible, or?
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules and have Mike come up. I mean, if he can describe his expertise in that field.
Second, is as long as it doesn't get into the disciplinary action.
I think you're keeping it just to the lockbox issue. Yeah. I think Mike wanted to give us his thoughts on that. Turn the mic on.
I just want to point out, if I could too, as well, although this is not being televised, it is being on the web.
Yep.
So we need to maybe take a 2-minute break
To make sure that's off.
to make sure that Ryan gets to that and gets it off, because if that's the request, we don't want it, we want to be sure this is not going out on the live stream here.
So that's a good point.
Go ahead, Mr. Sullivan.
Okay, thank you. I just want to share my experience for over 25 years running Berkshire Westwood Graphics Group. At the height of our sales, we did about $30 million a year. Twice we had tried lockbox arrangements, once with Fleet Bank and once with Sovereign Bank. And then Sovereign was taken over by Santander. And in each case, and particularly in the relationship as it devolved into Santander, the lockbox arrangement was just a horrible experience. 30 million in receivables, it's not as much as the city does, but I think it's about halfway there to what goes through the tax collector's office. Once you start dealing in tens of millions of dollars, whether it's 30 million or 50 million, it's still a lot of money. You lose all control. Somebody else is doing your data entry. So everybody, whether it's at the city level or at the bank level, people make data entry errors. And the more customers you have, and we had, I'd say, 500 or 600 customers at that time. I'm sure the city has more than 500 or 600 taxpayers. When they make a data entry error, it can take weeks, sometimes months, for them to resolve those errors. It's completely out of your control. So you've got unhappy customers that are getting statements that aren't reflecting their payments, and they're misapplied to somebody else's account, and it just becomes a very unwieldy nightmare. As we all know what's gone on the last several years with the major banking institutions in this country, they're no more to be trusted because they have a big name like Wells Fargo or Chase Manhattan or whoever. They play with other people's money, and they sit on it, and they collect interest on it. When it comes in here to the city, it's going to the bank real quick. They get it, and they play games, and they sit on it, and it's only a matter of sometimes 3 days, 4 days, 5 days before they return it. You lose all that control. You don't know when that money was actually received, and there's no way of really knowing what they're doing with your money. And there are no